Good evening. Welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, I just finished sending an email in response to a question which one of our subscribers had about annulment, and it inspired me to make a video on this because it seems to be a question that never quite dies. It never really gets answered. Right now, I don't have detailed information about exactly what the process is for an annulment, but I'm just trying to look at this. If you try to look at it logically, there will be a process. Everything has a process. If you go to the bank, there's a process. You fill out a withdrawal form, and then you hand it in, and they give you the money, and they delete it from your account. Hopefully they give you the money. If it's an ATM machine here, it may not happen, but that's another video. Okay, so there's a process, and this is the best advice that I think anybody can give you. When you meet, be it in cyberspace, when you meet someone, even if it's online, you've never met them face to face, you're dependent on them telling you the truth. They are also dependent on you telling them the truth. So, cut the crap, tell the truth. Be honest. You'll have to face honesty anyway once you face them, and vice versa. So, what should you do? One of the most important things to remember when you meet someone online is, if it's the Philippines, and that's the only thing that we're really interested in dealing with right now, is to ask for the cinema. The cinema is a document that your Filipina can ask for a very modest fee, and it will show officially that she is not married. Okay? Now, why is that important? It's important because there are laws in the Philippines which will make life very, very unpleasant for any foreigner or any man who starts up a relationship with someone who claims that they are not married, and then they find out that they are. Because if you become committed in the heart for someone who is actually married, unbeknownst to you, and then you find out later, you may find it out in a very, very harsh way, a brutal way. Because here, for some reason, I don't know, the world over seems to favour, in so many ways, the guilty. It favours the guilty. In other words, sometimes in the States, in America, and in the UK, which is the basis of most of my experience in life, if a robber gets into a house and is in the process of stealing or threatening the people that are in there, and they kill him or beat him up or win in a fight, and he gets injured, he may be the one that takes a case against them. So the law works in very strange ways, and here you are not allowed to have a relationship with someone who is married, and there's a special name for it. Beth, do you know the name for that?
What?
For when someone has a relationship with someone who is already married. Isn't there a law for that?
Adultery.
What?
Adultery.
No, she hasn't got it. Yes, it's adultery, of course, but there's a name for it, and it consists of a name. The name suggests that you have gone in and lured away from her marriage or his marriage in order to have a relationship with him, and you're not allowed to do that. Now, your your prospective bride may tell you by word of mouth, not by documentation, that she is not married, or she may say, and this was the subject of the letter that I've just answered, she may say that she was married and has successfully negotiated, secured an annulment. Now there's no divorce in the Philippines, but there is annulment. So they kind of, in a Western view, it's almost like they pretend that they were never married. As long as the annulment is official, then that's it. But what my subscriber friend said was that when he asked the lady that he is interested in, when he asked her could she show him the annulment, she said, or he asked her, do you have the papers? And she said, yes, I do. But when I guess he asked her, could I see them, she said it's in something that I think she called national statistics. So in other words, if she is to be believed, and why would she not, she is required to go to some government body, marriages and deaths, marriages, births and deaths. I think that's in the UK, that will be the department. And she's required to go and get a certificate that states that. Now, this brings us back to all of the lessons that Beth and I have learned in dealing with people when it's something to do with any legality. Like for instance, we may go and we want to do a great service for someone by building them a house, and we ask them, do you own the land? Now very often they will say that they do, but it later transpires that they don't, or that they are tenants. Or in one particular case in the secret village, the landlord finally said, you can build a house, but you cannot put a concrete floor. You cannot make it of concrete block and a concrete floor, a cement floor. So we were able to go in, but we had to do a traditional house in that case. Now, we found out fairly easy on that, but in other cases we've actually had started the house and had to move the perimeter of the house, because someone came along and said, no, you're in my property, you've gone over, and we had to take out 2 feet of what would have been the kitchen. So these things happen, and we just had another case where we should have asked more. We should have demanded more answers up front, which brings me to my point. The lesson learned is it's always easier to ask up front. Beth, can you get that kettle for me? It's easier to ask up front. So if it becomes very quickly known or ascertained that you really are interested in this woman, then it's better to ask right at the front all of the most difficult questions. Do you have children? Have you been married? Have you anything that you can think of? If you ask it up in front, then it's almost a compliment. It's almost an indication to that lady that you are serious. But one of the things that you must be sure of is that she is either unmarried, has never been married, or if she has been married, does she have the annulment papers? Everything has papers. Everything has a process. There's a process to go through, and she must have gone through that. Now, in the case of this lady is saying something that I don't know anything about, and I've never heard it said about an annulment must be in national statistics. So I don't know about that, but it's strange that I've never heard that, because I've talked on many occasions to people who are in the middle of, or need, or have done annulment. So it's something that needs to be checked out. So the questions need to be asked, but without a doubt, it needs to be done in the early stages. So remember that. I don't want this to be a long video. I want it to be an education or an informative video where you change the way that you're going to proceed. So find out if she is married by asking for the cinema. Now, up front, this is not going to cause any offence, because it's like saying, look, if everything goes well, I'm interested in marrying you, which is what every Filipino wants to hear. So, if she says that she has not been married, but it turns out that she is, then you've got a liar, and you should be walking away from that, if not running away. So, the annulment is another thing. There must be a process. Now, if she did it herself, that would be rare, because I've heard it's quite a complicated process. So if she didn't do it herself, she must have gone to an attorney, which means she must have paid out quite a bit of money. So ask her, how much did you pay? If you went to an attorney, that must have been expensive. How did you pay? And ask what it cost, and she should know. You know, if I go out and I pay for something, I know how much it cost. So she should know. And any hesitancy or looking the other way or picking their nose, or I don't know, if any of that begins to show, then you should be asking more questions, and ask them cleverly. If she paid an amount of money, then she should have a receipt. Can you see the receipt? If she is claiming that the annulment papers themselves must be in, what was it, national statistics. So be careful. A case, just to bring this point home, a case can be taken out against a couple who cohabit when one of the partners is married and has not secured a legal separation and annulment, and it can be prison. There's a television program that was on a couple of years ago, where they try to educate you on different cases that can be proven, and what the consequences are. And one of them was where the woman had been abandoned by the man because he had had a lapse of memory. Seriously, that was the real life story, that he'd lost his memory, and it was a medical condition. He didn't remember his first wife, and he married another woman. Now, the wife felt so badly about this that she took a case against them, and he served time in a prison. I think he got 2 years. So think about that very carefully before you back off asking the right questions. If she went to an attorney, she must have paid a sum of money. If she paid it, she must know what it is. If she knows what it is, she must have a receipt. If she has a receipt, you want to see it. But the paperwork for the annulment must be there. So if you're convinced that the annulment has really happened, and you are convinced from here and not from the heart, then you should ask, okay, what's the process? for getting the papers from this national statistics. What's the process? There must be a process. And if she knows that it's in national statistics, then she must know that it's going to take some kind of getting in line, asking for this, filling out a form and applying it and paying a fee. Find out, and find out as early as you can in any potential relationship. And I hear all the time in successful stories, success stories, where the people have met, fallen in love, are totally committed to each other, and it's all happened in a very short time. And the two people that come to mind are Beth and myself. And so far it's lasted 7 years, and we have high hopes that it will continue to last with God's blessing. Thanks for looking in. I hope it helps, and if I can help you in any way, like the man I've just talked to, keep in touch, and if you want another word, then get in touch. And bye for now.